Hello, Salome Superstars. It's Miss Lee. I'm here to read you a story called Minji's Lunch. But before I do that, I want to congratulate you for persevering from the beginning of the school year till now and making it to December. So pat yourselves on the back and make sure to thank your teachers, your parents, and all the staff at Salome because they truly, truly care about you. Okay, so let's begin. The story I'm going to read to you is called Minji's Lunch. It's written by Elizabeth Kleinrock and illustrated by Janice Chung. What's great about this illustration is that right away you can kind of get an idea of what this will be about, right? You know it's going to have to do with food, right? Because this is lunch. But you'll notice here, I don't know if you've ever seen these before, but these are called enoki mushrooms. You have tofu here, you have scallions, and you see chopsticks here, which I learned to use at a very young age. It was 5 minutes before the class transitioned to lunch, and Minji was excited. She and her father had cooked dinner together the night before, and she knew he had packed extra for her today. None of her friends ever brought stew for lunch, especially not bright red stew like kimchi jjigae. You see that word right there? I wonder what that is. And Minji was excited to show them what she had made. As she entered the cafeteria, Minji's friends Ella and Gabriel waved her over to a space at their table. Come on, Minji. Minji unscrewed her thermos and proudly showed them her lunch. Whoa, it's so red! I bet it's really spicy, exclaimed Ella, peering at the stew. Remember last time I came over to your house for dinner? Your dad made those rice cakes that were so spicy they made my eyes water, laughed Gabriel. Now I have a picture of a thermos here because that's what Minji's dad packed the kimchi jjigae in. So now we know, we have some clues that kimchi jjigae is probably something hot, right? Because if you're packing it in a thermos, you probably want to keep it warm. So just to give you some background information, here is a picture of what kimchi stew looks like. Now, if you don't know what kimchi is, it's fermented cabbage. That means the cabbage has been in a sauce for a really long time. And Koreans love to eat kimchi. Now, you'll see here, I've also included the Korean writing, which is called Hangul, and it says kimchi jjigae. And on the bottom is what Gabriel was talking about when he went over Minji's house. This is called spicy rice cakes, also known as tteokbokki. So you see here, tteokbokki. And this is a very famous Korean street food where you have rice cakes that kind of taste like mochi in a very, very spicy sauce. So remember, Gabriel was just telling Minji how he remembered eating tteokbokki at the house. And then suddenly, ew, what is that stuff? A loud voice came from the opposite side of the table. A girl named Audrey, who Minji recognized from the classroom next door, was staring at the kimchi jjigae, dramatically wrinkling her nose. Now, we know that if you wrinkle your nose, it usually means that you're not fond of something. So clearly, she thought it was not cool. Minji's voice faltered. It's called kimchi jjigae. It's a Korean stew. My dad and I made it together. Audrey raised her eyebrows. Well, it looks weird. Does your family eat stuff like bats and lizards? I heard Asian people eat weird stuff like that, and that's how everyone got sick. Is that true? Wow, this reminds me of a time where in third grade, my grandma actually made me kimchi bokkeumbap, which is a kimchi fried rice. And when I brought it to school and opened it up, I had the same reaction. And in fact, I remember the custodian was wrinkling his nose as well because I don't think he really liked the smell of kimchi and the smell of sesame oil, which is typically in. I wonder how Minji felt, especially when she heard Audrey talk about Asian people as if they were one type of people. Remember, Asia is a huge continent filled with so many different countries. Minji felt her face turning as red as the kimchi jjigae. By the time she opened her mouth to respond, Audrey had already turned away and was talking to someone else. Gabriel and Ella stared at the table as they ate their lunches. Minji realized she wasn't hungry anymore. At dinner that evening, her appetite still hadn't returned. I want you to look at this word appetite because it clearly has something to do with dinner, right, and food. And if you look at the sentence before, She says Mindy realized she wasn't hungry anymore, so it must have something to do with whether she's hungry or not. And I wonder if she lost her appetite because she really wasn't hungry or because of something else. Minji, is something wrong? Her father asked. You usually eat like your food is about to run away from you. Now, we know that the food is not really running off the plate, right? So, this is an example of great figurative language. Dad is trying to say, Minji, you usually eat all your food like it's about to run away. Minji felt her throat tighten. Appa, a girl at school today said our food looked weird. And then she asked if we eat bats and reptiles because we're Asian, and that food like ours make everyone sick. It made me so angry. And Ella and Gabriel were right there, but they didn't say anything. I'm sure Minji was thinking about a lot of things. She was probably wondering why her friends didn't stand up for her, and she probably felt like something was wrong. Her father frowned and then took a deep breath. I'm sorry that happened, honey, and I'm so glad you told me. It can be really hurtful when people make mean comments just because something is different or new to them. It sounds like she was saying a lot of things she didn't understand. That doesn't make it okay, but it's important that you don't feel embarrassed of who you are just because of her ignorance. Oh, I could totally relate to that. Because after that incident happened in school for me, I didn't tell my parents or my grandma because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. But remember, it is important to speak up, especially if you're feeling hurt or confused about something. I'm also hearing that you're disappointed your friends didn't speak up for you. Maybe when you see them tomorrow, you can tell them how you felt. They might not have meant to hurt your feelings, but if they're your friends, they'll care that they did. Ah, that's so wise. Minji swallowed and nodded, but the thought of speaking up to Ella and Gabriel sounded just as scary as standing up to Audrey. The next day, Minji approached her two friends at the lunch table. She set down her lunch and took a deep breath. Just as she was about to launch into the speech she practiced the night before, she heard Ella's voice. So clearly, Minji was thinking about this all night. Gabriel and I had a talk, Ella said. We're really sorry we didn't say anything when Audrey was talking about your food yesterday. Yeah, we messed up, added Gabriel. Friends are supposed to have each other's backs. Ella and I should have interrupted Audrey and told her what she was saying was wrong. And it's not funny to make fun of someone's traditions. We promise to do better next time. Thank you for saying that, Minji nodded and smiled. I was really upset yesterday and felt nervous about telling you because I didn't think you noticed. I almost didn't let my dad pack my lunch today. Opening up her lunch bag, Minji saw that her dad had packed her a few rolls of kimbap. When she looked up to offer a roll to Ella and Gabriel, she couldn't help but laugh when she saw them eagerly holding their forks, ready to dig in. Wow, what a powerful story. I remember when I first read this story, I was very surprised because it was the first time I saw a character that looked like me and also shared the same experiences. Minji reminded me so much of myself when I was in third grade and in college because the same incident also happened in college. These words are so powerful because Minji's father is right. We shouldn't be embarrassed of who we are. And let's say someone does make fun of us for our culture or our background. How we respond to that is also super important. Now let's look at some of these questions because remember, great readers make connections and think about what they read. So let's look at the first one. Why was Minji extra excited for lunch at the beginning of the story? So I want you to think about that. In fact, you can go back and rewind this video and go back to the first paragraph. She mentions how she was excited. So just look at the sentence before and after and look for that evidence as to why she was excited. The second question is, how did Audrey's comments make Minji feel and why? Again, if you look at the middle of the story, and especially during that scene where Minji is talking to her father, she really explains to her father, why is it wrong to make assumptions about people or groups like the ones Audrey made about Asian people? Now, this is a conversation I would love for you to have either with your classmates or with someone at home. But this is a conversation that I still have with my family today and my friends. Because unfortunately, even when you're adults, things like this happen all the time, right? And how you internalize that and how you respond to that really is important. Some people just don't know, just like Minji's father mentioned. Maybe she doesn't know so much about Asia, right? That Asia is a huge continent made up of so many different countries and cultures. So, again, definitely have that conversation. And this last point, Ella and Gabriel wish they had stood up for Minji. When is the time you've stood up for a friend, someone has stood up for you, or you have seen someone stand up for someone else? I want you to really think about maybe what Ella and Gabriel were thinking because it seems like they really do love Minji as a friend. And why sometimes it's so hard to speak up, right? It takes a lot of courage. So again, please feel free to rewind this video and listen to the story again. I'm so happy that I was able to read this story to you, and I really hope that you learned a little bit more about where I come from because I really relate to Minji's character. And I hope that next time you notice someone being mean to somebody, find the courage to either speak up to that person or tell someone. Through Minji's experience, I was also able to reflect back on my childhood and how certain events might have hurt me in the past, but now I can use that to make a change and to make a difference and to stand up for people. So enjoy the rest of your December, and until next time, have a great day.